Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So for this week I decided to make Jimmy Pestos. Now I called it Johnny Pestos because I don't know how copyright works, so I'm not trying to get copyright stricken, but I'm just trying to say this is supposed to be a recreation of Jimmy Pestos to the best that I could in The Sims without using custom content and stuff. So let's just jump right into the build and I'll show you what I did. So I started off on that really large lot. It's the 40 by 30 lot. And I'm not going to lie, I debated for probably like 3 days what I was going to put here. I couldn't figure it out. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Like, I didn't know if I should build a park there, but then there's really no like park necessarily in Bob's Burgers for me to go off of that I can remember. So the only thing I really want to build is Wonder Wharf, but Wonder Wharf has to be on a really big lot. And this lot just is not big enough for what I want to do with Wonder Wharf. So I decided not to put that there, and I decided to make Jimmy Pesto's on the same street as Bob's Burgers. Now I know they are in the show, but they're across the street, and where I'm building in this, I can't build across the street, but these lots made the most sense in Newcrest. It's that lot on the right side that just has all of those like really long skinny ones. I'm sure you guys know which ones I'm talking about. And those lots, I always have a hard time when I'm building in Newcrest to figure out what to put there, and I've never thought about townhouses, especially before for rent. Wow, that's a mouthful to say. But especially before for rent, I didn't know what to put on these lots. It feels too narrow to be a park. It feels weird to put a pool here. Like, I just never know what to put on these lots. So, this is the best. I mean, townhouses are kind of great now that I've played in them a little bit and I've done the live in businesses. I highly recommend you guys go and get Little Miss Sam's live in businesses. You can make this like a cafe, a bar, a live in daycare. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff inside of that. It is linked down in the description if you guys want to check it out. I highly recommend it. However, in Jimmy Pesto's, I could not find a lot of pictures of the interior as well as the exterior as well, like just the front is well photographed, but the interior is not. Now, I know that there's some controversy going, and I don't know all the ins and outs of it, to be quite honest with you, but I know there was some controversy with the voice actor of Jimmy Pesto, which is why he hasn't been in the show since I believe it was season 11, and we're in season 14 currently. So, or 15 maybe, I'm not super sure. I finished all the way through whatever's current right now, but he's not in the show anymore. So I don't know if this will be in bad taste, but I wanted to recreate Jimmy Pesto's. I always thought it would be kind of a fun thing to try and recreate, especially because the way that Jimmy Pesto is portrayed in the show, he's so like pretentious and like I'm better than you in like literally every episode that he's in, but he's also childish. I don't remember ever seeing more than one episode inside of his house, and when I tried to go find it, I couldn't. So the upstairs is kind of just creative freedom. I'm going to be honest with you. I know that there was like a bar in his living room or something like that. I do remember seeing an episode where Bob had to like go and like comfort him about something. I don't really remember the episode all too well, but I do remember we saw the inside of part of his house, just not all of it, and it was bougie. So that's what I based it off of. Now, it's not bougie Sims bougie, it's bougie Jimmy Pesto bougie in a sense, because Sims bougie is always like to me Victorian or like hyper realistic, or not hyper realistic, but like hyper futuristic. And that's not like that's not Jimmy Pesto in a sense. Like his restaurant has literally like cracks in the walls and stuff, which I guess is kind of like an aesthetic choice for an Italian restaurant. I've seen that before in like real life. However, we're in wherever they live in Bob's Burgers. So you know that it's kind of run down because it's owned by Mr. Fish Odor. So, I mean, with that, they actually do have a chandelier like that inside of Jimmy Pesto's. I found a picture of Bob talking to him and I saw this chandelier and I was like, we have the same thing in The Sims almost identical. Like, I'm not even kidding. It's literally so close. A lot of my reference has been from some pretty spotty images that I found on Google Images, as well as trying to rewatch the show. But finding the episodes where they go in Jimmy Pesto's is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. So I kind of scrapped that idea because it was taking me too much time. But I got it. I tried to get it as close as I could, given, I wasn't trying to use a ton of packs. I think I did anyways, to be honest. But yeah, there was some stuff inside of Jimmy Pesto's I wish I could put that I just aren't in The Sims. Like, I'd have to use a lot of custom content that I don't know even exists. And I didn't really want to do that. Now, the one thing I do remember Jimmy Pesto saying is that he's got like all these TVs and stuff because people go there to watch games and everything. So I put a bunch of the little TVs in, especially because those look like about the right size for what I saw in a lot of my reference pictures. Normally on the right there, where those chairs are, like in the front where the big windows are, that's like the bar, but he has like a little retail section right there, and I couldn't really do anything about that because we don't have that in The Sims, and I'm sure I probably could have custom contented it or maybe even just like cheated a little bit to get it in there somehow. I'm sure I could have formed it out of stuff, but I don't use the tool mod because it does kind of confuse me. I probably should, but it confuses me, and I don't want to add another mod to all of the mods I play with. If you look in the description, those are all the mods I play with in my personal life as well as when I'm building. So if you ever are wondering what mods I'm using, they're in the description. I love all the creators. They're really good at updating their stuff. I have not had like hardly any problems. Um, but anyways, in Jimmy Pesto's, he he's got quite a few tables, and I honestly, to make this somewhat functional, could not make it that realistic. So unfortunately it's not. I also didn't section off their restaurant from where they live because on the outside of most of the other places in Wonder Wharf, or and I don't even know what the name of the town they live in is now that I'm thinking about it. I can't think of what the name of their town is, but they like there's no entrance. I couldn't see an entrance into their house. Like genuinely, normally like Bob's Burgers, it's right there on the front. Mort's, it's right there on the front. Like so on and so forth. They're right there in the front of the store. His doesn't have that. His is all glass in the front with the front door to the actual store, not the house. And we don't ever see the backside of it from what I can remember. So or could find for that matter. So I just kind of improvised. I went back and forth on these trims and I didn't like them at first, but the more that I looked at the reference photo, the more I was like, I think it needs it because I need something to break up the different levels. Otherwise, it just looks too weird. So I that's what I decided to do. And me, I decided to just put in these red windows because he has red and like or red and green are his big thing are like the two colors that they use, and I know it's because of the flag, but we don't really have like that kind of a aesthetic, I guess, inside The Sims. So at least that I could find that I mean I was trying not to use a ton of packs and find something that kind of just fit in general, and that was kind of difficult. We don't I realized that we don't really have like an Italian themed necessarily like pack or anything like that. We have, Japan, and we have wherever For Rent was from. I can't remember if it was. I don't want to misplace where that pack is from. If someone knows, let me know in the comments. I don't remember which culture that or country that's featured from, but I like all of that stuff because I'm tired of all the Americanization of The Sims. I know it's an American company, but I love to have and like think about other people that are living different ways because The Sims, you can really build it however, but I wish I had more content of different cultures to put in for cases like this when I'm trying to recreate something. However, I realized when I first made this, when I started the build, I thought he only had 2 floors and the ceilings were just high. There are 3 floors. So, which ended up working out perfectly for me because I was like, how am I could fit all the bedrooms, but I can't fit like a bonus room or something because I feel like Jimmy Pesto is the type of person to have a bonus room in his house. And if you don't know what a bonus room is, it's like the office or like it's just like an extra room in your house, essentially, that you can kind of do whatever with. It's basically a bedroom that no one sleeps in. I'll put it that way. That's how I see bonus rooms. So I didn't really think about it. He needs a kitchen. I didn't put a kitchen inside of Jimmy Pesto's because I don't even know where it would go. I did have that big empty room down there, but I felt like it would be weird to put a door and then fully furnish a kitchen when it's not needed. Because the one thing I can say is Little Miss Sam, her mod does not allow for live-in restaurants, and that's just because restaurants are really complicated, and I do know that. She has said it as well, or they have said it. I don't know what pronouns they go by, but they have said it on the actual mod page that it's a work in progress that they don't know will ever get finished because the programming is really odd for it because you'd have to have a bunch of different things involved. So you could turn it into a cafe and just replace like put the little thing on there and do the live-in cafe option. I've done that in a couple of the other builds I've done just because restaurants aren't an option yet. You could technically, I guess, make it like a retail store and just redo the bottom if you wanted to, but for the purposes of this video, I wanted to recreate Jimmy Pesto's to the best that I could. So I put a pizza oven in his kitchen upstairs because why not? And maybe they do the cooking up there. I really don't know. I put some tea. I just wanted to make it functional. So some stuff might not feel like it's Jimmy Pesto, and that's fine, but it's also meant to be played in. So like, I didn't want to just completely exclude it entirely. I like to have my Sims drink tea. I like to have them do the wellness career, or not career, but like the aspirations. I actually really like having them meditate or having them host a yoga session or something like that. I don't know why, but the spa day pack has been I have used a lot of, and I know people don't like it, but I use the spa day pack a lot, like in my personal play. I always have a sim that has like a meditation chair or a meditation cushion or a yoga thing, like something related to it. And normally one of them will always start out with that aspiration because I think that it works really well. So that, and it's fun to play with for me. I like to see them float when they're meditating, and it gives them like peace of mind, and it can help them like build relationships with other people. I like it a lot, and I know they revamped it, but that's personally what I just like to play with that pack a lot. I play with it a lot in my personal saves. I always have a spa somewhere in the world. They're always going to that spa and using the saunas and whatever. Love it. Same with Snowy Escape. I absolutely love the onsen bathhouse. My Sims are there all the time, literally all the time when they're stressed out. So I feel like, you know, it's a good pack. Now, I did use the mirrors from it because it has the ring light around it in the bathrooms, and honestly, it was the only one that fit with that one bathroom. I think it was on the floor below. I couldn't fit anything else. I don't know. I don't know what was up with that. I don't know if the sink is just weird. I tried to alt place it, it didn't work. This is that little bar area that I was talking about in Jimmy Pesto's house. We kind of moved from the living room into this room. Now, I didn't really know what to put on the walls in here or really in here in general because we don't really see much of the inside of his house. And that sucks. I wish that I could have more reference images to go off of to see the kind of decor and stuff that maybe I could try and emulate. There's that mirror that I was talking about. But we really just don't see the inside, and I couldn't find the episode of where they talked about it. So, and where Bob has to like go help him. Like I just could not find it. I didn't know where it was. So I didn't look at it. I just kind of went off my memory, and my memory's not always the best. So I apologize if some of this doesn't make sense for Jimmy Pesto, but to me, it all made sense. Jimmy Pesto is the type of person, he's bougie, but he's also a child. So I decided to give him his own ensuite bathroom with a small room, though, because I feel like he only deserves a small room. But I know that there's lore to Jimmy Pesto in and of himself as a character that I don't remember because I never liked Jimmy Pesto. I didn't really care for Jimmy Pesto Jr. either, to be quite honest. I have a really hard time understanding him. There are episodes where I can understand him very well, but then there's other episodes where they like enunciate the lisp so heavy that I have to literally just look at the subtitles so I have no idea what he's saying to me. I don't mean that rude. I'm normally like pretty good with accents and I'm pretty good with lisps. Like people I can normally understand pretty well. But sometimes it is very difficult to understand what he's saying when I am like building or something. Because when I'm building these things, I am watching an episode of it or something along those lines. Helps me get in the like mindset of it. So I have to look over every so often when I'm building because I have literally no idea what he's saying to me or what he's trying to portray. Granted, I don't think he ever portrays anything like crazy, but it is nice to know what the characters are saying. So this is the twins' rooms. I'm blanking on their names. Ollie and something. Can't remember his other name. But I built them playroom. Little. This is that bonus room I was talking about. So they have a playroom, but it's also meant for your children's Sims. So you could put desks in there or whatever you really wanted to. I just never put playrooms, and I've been seeing some other people put playrooms in their builds, and I never thought about it. But as I've played with them, the like stuff more, I realized like this is actually kind of a good idea. So I decided to do that in here. Besides, I feel like having a playroom would keep them out of Jimmy Pesto's hair, which is exactly what he wants most of the time. Um, I just felt like it all worked. I didn't put a ton of stuff on walls. He has a lot of plants in the front of his store, so I figured he'd have plants on the inside of his house. But yeah, I mean, his house in overall isn't awful. I don't hate it. I just tried to use more of the like stuff that I would consider more upscale, but also homey, because that's the type of vibe I got from him. Like I'm sure his house has, you know, a ton of like I know he's got a VR gaming thing. He's got a giant TV because he's talked about it before. Um, we just don't see any of it. So I figured to give him nice appliances. I personally really like the Home Chef Hustle Pack. That's what I used. I love the, you know, the LED lights on the cabinets. I even had that at my old apartment. I put them in, but I loved them. So, you know, it's to the best that I could come up with for Jimmy Pesto. We don't see the inside of his house. We just honestly don't, and that sucks. But you know, it's The Sims. You can only do what you got to do. And since this lot happens to be bigger than all the other lots, I figured what would Jimmy Pesto have that none of the other restaurants have? Like in my mind, and it would be just like fountains with a sitting area. I feel like he would have something like that, but charge people to do it. You know what I mean? Like it would be a bonus package, and that's how he would afford his lifestyle and like his kids and everything. Jimmy Jr.'s room, I know I didn't talk about it when I was building it, but while this is happening, because it's pretty straightforward and just super basic, I didn't want to put anything crazy that, and I feel like it fits Bob's Burgers if it's not over and over the top, but they still charge for it because that gives me Bob's Burgers vibes, also America, but like, you know what I mean? So I put some sitting areas out here, but back to his room, Jimmy Jr. So I put a dance pad, like it's just the cardboard boxes because his dad's not supportive, so I feel like he'd be like, here's some cardboard boxes if anything. But to symbolize which room was whose, I went through and I did Jimmy Pesto's Jr.'s room with a sound system and a like little thing that he could dance on if he ever wanted to. So I know some of you guys have requested that I do a little bit of a slow walkthrough at the very end of the video. So that's exactly what this is. This is the first floor. This has pretty much everything in it. That's that empty room I was talking about earlier. And maybe I could put bathrooms in there, but I decided just to leave it blank and just use it as like a bump out because he has that wall. And I'm assuming that's where the kitchen is, but I don't know. So here we have a bathroom. I think it's 2 bathroom, 3 bed, I believe. 3 bathroom, 3 bed. That's what it is. Here's the living room that I was, he has the big TV, the fancy TV. This is that bar area that we've seen. I think he has a couch in there, but yeah, I just wasn't trying to deal with that with the floor plan and everything. I put a half wall as that little kitchen because I always like to be able to see out. Now we're on the third floor. This is a bathroom. I put a laundry hamper in there because why not? I just needed something in the corner with it that wasn't a plant. This is Ollie's room. This is that playroom, or the twins' room, I should say, but that's the playroom for them. This is the ensuite bathroom to the master, which is right there. So I would assume that Jimmy Pesto would be in that room. And then this is Jimmy Jr.'s room. You can see we put a bunch of posters on the wall and a dance pad. And then I also added an easel in this build to help fill in the walls for your Sims. So like I said, I wanted this to also be playable. So I added that easel so that you could also put your Sims artwork up without having to remove things. But yeah, that's kind of the whole build. It's not super like over the top extravagant, but overall, I really enjoyed doing it. I was like focused in on it, especially because I had no reference images and I had to really use my imagination for the second and third floors. I let me know if you guys have seen other people do this. I didn't look to see what other people had done with it. I just wanted to go into it kind of blind and see what I would create from it. But yeah, it is uploaded on the gallery, and I will see you guys in the next video. All right, bye everybody.